Finally, it's fun again to be in crypto. Pretty much everything is going up, but some tokens are up more than others, and there are even a few tokens that are completely new to the scene. Housecoin is one of them. Let's have a look at the on-chain metrics. Let's try to figure out how much longer this rally can potentially last. There seems to be a revival of Pump.fun, which is the launchpad for meme coins on Solana, and Housecoin was launched via that platform. Have a look at the largest Pump.fun ecosystem token. At number one, we've got Fartcoin that also saw a nice rally in the last month. It's got a market cap of 1.1 billion, but check out the best performer this week. It's Housecoin. It went up almost by 10x. And still, its market cap is less than 1/10 of Fartcoin. Will we see another 10x? That's the big question. Now, crypto itself as an investment class is already quite risky. Pump.fun is even risky within crypto. What we see over here is the number of deployed transactions on Pump.fun. In other words, how popular are trades on the Pump.fun ecosystem. We initially saw a very nice expansion that lasted until the end of January of this year. Then the number of deployed transactions crashed quite a bit because, again, this is a player versus player game. Capital concentrates towards the people that have most skills, and so the vast majority of market participants lose. But with Bitcoin recovering, we also saw more deployed transactions again. It's not just Pump.fun that's stabilizing, it's all of Solana's decentralized exchange trading volume that finally finds a stable level. But yeah, here we are today. Housecoin is at 8.8 cents. Just in the last 24 hours, it went up by 47%. And it's now the 11th largest trending altcoin on Solana. It's got a liquidity pool of 2.2 million. And yes, there's still quite a bit of upside, especially in terms of market cap. Now, there is one person that's probably not very happy to see this rally in Housecoin, and that is YouTuber Handsome Finance. Now, let me show you what I mean. Check out this signal. So that came in on Thursday. Handsome Finance bought $3,000 worth of the token when the market cap was still at 12.8 million. It's a transaction that we believe comes from Handsome Finance. So we've got several of his wallets. Here's his YouTube account. I actually do like his content quite a bit. Feel free to check him out. But yeah, he bought low, but then got shaken out, sold even lower, and completely missed this massive rally. It's not easy to find the right tokens on Pump.fun. There are thousands of new tokens every day. And even if we find the right token, timing the market is still not that easy, as we can see here. So you might find the right tokens, you might make the right asset selection, but that's worth not much if you're getting shaken out like this, unfortunately. Now, to find out how high this rally can go, whether or not this is another pump and dump, or if we can go to levels of Fartcoin, another 10x, let's have a look at whether or not the current rally is manipulated. If this is some kind of organic rally or if there is manipulation baked into the price. And we can figure this out through on-chain analytics and through social metric comparison. So let's start out with the socials. We've got x.com, and over here we've got almost 9,000 followers. Now that compares to 18,000 holders on chain. So that ratio kind of makes sense. The website very much reminds of a meme coin. Yes, there is a story of utility around this, but really, is the project going to buy houses? Is the project going to buy hedges against a housing market crash? I doubt it. Let's get into the on-chain data. So what we're seeing over here is the number of first-time traders versus recurring traders per day. And we saw a lot of trading on the first days after launch, then that slowed down, and then we saw momentum picking up again on the 25th of April, which, by the way, was one day after Handsome Finance bought the token. Now the number of first-time traders tends to slow down again. The price, though, continues to go up. What's going on? What we've got over here is the daily trading volume per trader segment. A lot of trading happens by small retail, and again, we can see how initially attention shrunk for the token to then come back up on the 25th of April. Over time, we see how the large investors take up more and more of the trading volume. So small retail, the wallets that have less than $1,000 worth of the token, tend to trade the token less comparatively speaking. This is a first sign that the heavyweights, so the whales or the market makers even, might be taking over the token. Now we don't necessarily see this in the number of whale investors. So that's here on the right. That's the number of wallets that have at least $100,000 worth of the token. That's not going up, but it's also not going down, which is interesting given that the price is rallying that much, right? The heavyweights aren't necessarily selling into the rally. We do see how the rally, at least up until the 26th, was caused by retail investors getting in. So there were more than 1,000 wallets that have at least 10,000 tokens that got added in the span of 2 to 3 days to the holder base. We also saw medium-sized retail buying in, and again, the whales did not sell. Now keep this chart in mind, right? The number of whales did not go up, but here's what's interesting. The ownership by the whales, the percent ownership, how much of all of the token supply is held by the wallets that have at least $100,000 worth of the token, that went up massively. And here's the proof. This is the ownership by the whale wallets as a percent of all of tokens. Currently, 62% of all of the Housecoin tokens are owned by the whales. So it's existing whales that just continue accumulating, that push out small and medium-sized retail over time. This is a takeover by the people with a lot of capital. The number of retail investors stopped growing on the 26th of April, yet the price continues to climb. So here's probably what's going to happen. Over time, we will see more and more centralized exchanges listing the token. And with each of those announcements, we will see another price jump. Once we see the heavyweights having listed the token, then probably a lot of the upside might be gone unless we see additional leverage through the perpetual futures market. Currently, most trading volume still happens on chain. So that's true for the spot market. And while MEXC has listed the token in its futures market, the volume isn't really that large yet. But this might change very soon, especially once we also see listings of perps on other exchanges. Now, finally, we enter a market again where everything is going up. And I think it's important to seize the opportunity, not just randomly buy things, but buy the things that tend to go up more than others. Now, that's easier said than done, but let's have a look at Virtual, for example. How can we find something like Virtual's protocol not just a week ago, but how can we pick it up early, as in when it just was a few cents? I don't think that we have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to be the best traders on the planet to figure this out. We can just have a look at the people that tend to move markets, that tend to make good trades. For example, here's somebody that did not necessarily always do the best trades. So here are signals by Ben Armstrong. He got some virtual tokens very early on allocated for a promotion. He sold this for very low prices, 1.4, 1.3 cents. So yeah, following people like Ben Armstrong or BitBoy Crypto is probably not the best idea. But there are some people that do make regularly very nice trades. For example, this guy over here, Brian Young. He's got more than 2 million subscribers and he mainly talks about crypto. He was one of the very first influencers that we track that bought virtual token for very low prices. 15K over here for 7 cents. The community talked about this quite a bit, 61 comments. That was more than 1 year ago on the 21st of March 2024. And so the rest is history. The price went up by more than 6,000%, even after a subsequent crash and then the current recovery. The price is still up by almost 2,000%. Crypto is not necessarily a game where the people with the best fundamental analysis win. I think it's much more of a player versus player game. It's much more of a game of insiders versus the not so well informed retail investor. Even though YouTubers like Brian Young do very good crypto content and they also trade well, it's very hard to figure out where do they actually put their money and how much do they invest. Even when I search here for the Virtuals token, I can't even find a dedicated video on Virtual on his channel. The token might be hidden somewhere in those list videos, but that's about it. Now, the first dedicated video on Virtual's protocol was published half a year ago over here. That video outperformed the average video. The average video is here in gray and the performance of that video is in blue. At the time, the price was at 41 cents. And even from that point onwards, we went up by more than 1,000%. So I publish videos on various altcoins regularly on this channel. I try to find the ones that still have a lot of upside potential. So feel free to subscribe over here. Now, if it's that easy to make money just by looking at what other people are doing, how do we actually know that early what, say, BitBoy Crypto or what Brian Young is doing? The answer is wallet tracking. With some on-chain analytics, we found out what kind of wallet is owned by what influencer. For example, over here, we found 5 wallets of Brian Young. In total, we track almost 600 wallets. So that's of various influencers. And the way we find those wallets is by looking at what kind of NFTs are they holding, what kind of tokens are they holding. Let's say they share in a video that they have $150,000 worth of a very small token. There aren't too many wallets that might own that amount. We're looking at related wallets, deposit addresses on centralized exchanges. We're doing all kinds of small tips and tricks, and those are all explained here in this little tutorial course on wallet discovery. So that can be found below at thebitcoinstrader.com. And so the premium community of this channel is focusing on that. We try to find new wallets, we share those wallets with others, and then we track the wallets. And then sometimes we find out that some influencers aren't always ethical. For example, here's a video by one influencer that talked about the Champ token just after we got the buying alert. So that's then the way it works, right? The influencer buys a small cap cryptocurrency and then afterwards promotes it on the social media following, and then the social media following is buying into the token, pushing up the price even further. So a classical pump and dump, and the winners are always the people that buy in early, before all of that social media publishing has been done. That's what the wallet tracking is so useful for. And so clearly it's time to make money again. Since October of 2023, more and more money is flowing into the market. The stablecoin market cap is going up. So as per tendency, cryptocurrencies should go up in price. Now the problem is that returns are very concentrated in just a few winners, right? It's a winner takes most game. It's player versus player, and the vast majority of people still lose even in market conditions like this. But yeah, we are tracking those almost 600 wallets. We've got our dedicated influencer trade channel, and when we see insiders like the Memecoin or Based AI team accumulating a very small market cap token, for example over here, CAC, that's a signal of today, then it's likely that the price rises, right? There are all these accumulation buys, and as long as insiders buy more and more of a very small token, things tend to go up. So this is now an appreciation of almost 200% over the span of a week. And so yeah, there are 2 ways to make money. We can simply just take random tokens, and they are likely going to appreciate to a degree. But if you want to take full opportunity of this market, it's better to follow the smart money, right? It's better to buy the virtual protocols of this world when it's just a few cents worth of a token and then moves to several dollars. I'm of course sharing my own trades in premium as well. That goes without saying. And so feel free to check it out. It's currently $125 per month. There should be a link somewhere here on the screen, probably at the bottom right, that leads you directly to that page. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube, or see you in premium. Cheers.